Good evening, everybody. We're going to start the September 23rd, 2014 Planning Board meeting. It's being recorded by LCAP for the viewers at home by our director, Robin McDonald. Is there anybody else here recording it? If so, what affiliation? There being none, we're going to jump right into it. First thing we have is a special permit, Section 6, for Nicole Bongiorni, 35 Linden Avenue.
Planning Board of East Long Meadow will hold a public hearing on September 23rd, 2014 at 6 o'clock in the Town Meeting Hall, Room 60, Center Square, East Long Meadow, Mass., on application for a special permit submitted by Nicole
Bongiorni.
Thank you very much.
Did I get it right?
You did.
Okay, good.
For a property located at 35 Linden Avenue to attach and enlarge existing detached garage and extend existing kitchen to the pre-existing non-conforming structure. Information related to this application is on file with the Planning Board and available for public review by the public. Read this too.
All right, you want to come up and kind of give us an idea what you want to do? And just state your names and addresses for the record, too.
Sure.
please.
Yes, you did. I'm Vincent Bongiorni. I'm Nicole's father. This is Nicole, and she lives at 35 Linden Avenue.
Okay.
Essentially, there's a four-car detached garage on the premises right now. And the house itself has a shed roof off the regular roof at the rear that's on piers. And what we would like to do is to be able to take the garage and make it 6 feet longer. That is extended toward the street so that the front of the garage is even with the front of the residence. And then put a roof on that joins both structures together.
Yeah.
I think that's about the easiest way to describe it. The shed in the rear is right now is on piers, and there's a septic system. And what we want to do is attach to the sewer system, because the street does have sewers. We didn't realize it.
Okay.
And it's the only house on the street that has a septic system. And the sewer pipe from the main house goes under the shed in the back, which is on piers, and you can't access it.
Okay.
So we want to be able to take that apart, put a full foundation back there, take the roofs off, and join the two structures.
Okay. You guys all had a chance to look at?
But what is the existing nonconformance?
I
I think the non-conforming is a sideline. If I may,
sideline.
of the garage. It's not
Okay.
pre-existing. It is non-conforming, though.
Yeah.
Because I actually had Robin pull the building permit, I think 84.
I believe so.
They just put the wrong number, put the garage in the wrong place through no fault of the present owners. So that's a non-conformity.
So this will increase the nonconformance ever so slightly,
Here's the-
about 6 inches.
Yeah, here's the original building
5
permit for the
inches.
garage. Not that I don't think it's relevant, but. I actually drove by the site. It's not really going to encroach on anybody's sight line, anybody's
Yeah.
neighbors. It's not
No,
farther forward
no.
than anything that's already there. Those are my simple observations. If anybody wants to add anything?
Yeah, it's straightforward. I don't think it's going to be in any way detrimental. I think it'd be great.
Okay.
What zone is it in?
C.
C?
25, 25, 12, and 12.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't see a problem. I don't think most people would even realize that you're encroaching a little bit further.
Yeah,
Well,
'cause I had-
the building, for whatever reason, wasn't set up parallel with the house. It's angled a bit. And there was a structure at one time behind it. There was a barn on a concrete pad. And before I purchased it, I told the owner that I wanted him to knock it down and pull it away, because I don't want to incur the expense.
Ty, you got anything you want to add before I open it?
No, it doesn't create anything more non-conforming, so I think it's fine.
Yeah.
It
So,
looks okay.
Yeah.
all right.
It's probably an improvement, actually.
All right, because it is a public hearing in Section 6 finding, I'm going to open it up to the public. Is there anybody that would like to make a comment for or against? All right, there being none, I'll bring it back to the board. Do I have a motion to close?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve petition as presented pending further discussion?
Second?
Any more discussion? Ralph?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You are all set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. 20-day appeal period.
20-day appeal period, sorry about that. So start on your own.
These were all in our packets, so.
At your own risk if you will.
You can't get a building
Well, you
permit
can't
for
get
20 days.
So,
What is that?
it's a 20-day appeal period in case one.
Oh,
somebody
okay, so you
appeals.
have to wait 20 days before you,
Before you can get a permit.
before you get a permit. Can I ask you a question? Can you-
Certainly.
Can you start to do excavation if the non-conforming part of it is the sideline in the back?
I would say so. Yeah, because the only thing we can act upon is what is the
All right, so
non-conforming.
as long as you don't touch the non-conforming part of it
Right.
for 20 days, then I could at least
Yes,
get some concrete poured before the...
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still have some time.
That's what I'm really concerned about. All right, Tyler, it's nice to see you.
Right.
Take care.
Building
Yeah.
permit.
Hi, thank
Yes.
you.
Good
Bye,
luck to you.
Nicole.
Hi.
For the file?
Yep,
Yes.
that is the building company.
You have a copy of this for the file?
Yes.
And you have your own copy.
Let's go for some more stuff as well, go ahead. Let's see here, why don't we do A&R for Pease Road, Goldstein?
Right in front of me.
Get the easy stuff till we get to our
And you
6:15.
have this
Right, right,
tied.
right. Get the easy stuff out of the way before 6:15? Mr. Richards?
To the Planning Board of East Long Meadow, plan of land Pease Road owned by Ronald Goldstein. This letter serves as a narrative description of the proposed division of land located on Pease Road. Mr. Goldstein currently owns approximately 26 acres of land with a total frontage of 349 feet located on the southerly side of Pease Road. Pease Road is a public way with an asphalt surface. The plan proposed the creation of a building lot to be known as Lot Number 2. The proposed lot has a total frontage of 163.11 feet, an area of 25,379 square feet. The frontage and area conform to the minimum requirements for a lot located in Residence A zone in the town of East Long Meadow. Plan also shows the remaining land has a frontage of 185 feet and an area of approximately 26 acres, which also conform to the minimum requirements of the Residence A zone. It is my belief that the proposed plan is entitled to an endorsement under the current subdivision control laws of the state of Massachusetts and the town of East Long Meadow. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Paul Smith.
And there's also a checklist, the new checklist that you have requested. Everything was met and signed.
Okay, so they're basically carving off Lot 2
Correct.
out of the 26 some odd acres.
Yes.
Meets all the requirements, the checklist is met. All right, anybody have any comments?
It meets the requirements. It's A.
I believe it is A.
Yeah, so we got half an acre.
Yep.
We're in great shape.
140 feet of frontage.
Make a motion to endorse the A&R.
Second.
Any more discussion? Todd?
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Sign this at the end.
Sure.
You got mine right there, too?
I'll request for signage for Coyote's Den.
And I will recuse myself.
All right, what's your mention? Yeah, some work for you.
Company, Town of East Long Meadow sign permit application. Company name and owner is Coyote's Den Self Storage, Haven Bay. Address is 183 Button Drive, East Long Meadow. Square foot of proposed signs is 93 square feet. It is single-sided. It is not freestanding, and it is attached to the building. Projection of any 5 feet. Setback from the property line is 70 feet. Total number of existing signs is 3. Total square feet of existing sign is 93 square feet. That's pretty much it.
Okay, I'm assuming we have
We got a picture.
rendering. All right, this is replacing what is already there.
Correct.
Okay. It meets the requirements in terms of size. No?
No, Ralph, well,
I think in terms of size, like I said, I believe it replaces one that's very similar that's there.
Right.
I think we should ask the zoning enforcement officer whether or not this meets the criteria for industrial garden park it is.
mhm.
My quick read would say that it doesn't. I mean, aesthetically, I believe the sign is nice, it's perfect, it goes well, fits with the neighborhood. But I would like to see that when he gets a building permit, that the zoning enforcement officer state whether or not it meets the criteria for industrial garden park.
Right, so if we do approve it, and we stipulate the fact that the square footage doesn't meet the requirement, send that approval to the building inspector. Because he's gonna have to see notification that, in fact, it has been approved aesthetically, but in fact, it doesn't meet. I know. But,
Well, I don't see how we can approve it if it doesn't meet the size requirements. That's really the real criteria. The aesthetics are in many ways secondary.
mhm.
It's the size that is written into the bylaw.
Now, what is the square footage for that sign? Or what's
No larger than 100 square feet, and it's a certain percentage, 3%, 5% of the...
5%
Of
of
the
the square
front
footage.
elevation.
Right,
And,
of the main building.
It says 93 square feet.
And the bylaw states that it cannot be more than 100 square feet.
all right, so he's got proposed sign at 93 square feet,
Yes.
and the bylaw says 100 square feet?
Yes.
No, the bylaw states specifically 5% of the front elevation of the building.
Okay.
But in no case shall it be more than 100 square feet.
All right, do we know, do we have the square footage of the front elevation of the building?
Well, it's pretty obvious from looking at it, it's more than 5%.
Agreed.
I think the issue here is that bylaw was written for the main buildings that are down there, all of which are huge.
Right.
In this case, we've got a small office that controls a very large storage area, but because each building is separate, it doesn't, the total
Right,
front
I know where you're going.
elevation, you can't add them together under the bylaw. I would think that they would either need a waiver from the ZBA, okay, or a determination from the building inspector on an interpretation of the bylaw that's different than that.
And also, I think the way they measured it is incorrect. I think it's much more than what they said it was.
Well, if you take it
You
as a
have to, you
square.
have to do this.
Yeah, triangle.
And
yeah.
that's not the way it was measured.
So I would suggest we table it and suggest that
Get a determination.
get a determination from the zoning enforcement officer.
Okay.
That's his interpretation. If he thinks it's okay, then we can reconsider it.
All right, I can agree with that. I don't think we need a motion for that.
No.
All right, so we're in table for now until we get some more information. Fair enough? All right.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Richards, we have you back. Mr. Goldstein, we approved your plan.
Sorry.
Did you hear, Ron?
Right?
We
Yeah.
approved your plan. Well, I just want to let you know that we did approve your lot. Just in case you're here for that, I want to let you know. Okay. All right, what else? Let's do the 6:15.
Ben Wilson?
A little early.
Ben?
6:15, do you have anything to read?
Come on up.
Come on up, Mr. Wilson.
It's not a hearing, so we can start early.
Not excited, Mr. Select Board.
Few cards here.
This is it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just this letter?
Thank you. Mhm. There's some pictures there too, so that everybody can see what the, while you're reading that, let me. Michael.
Thank you.
Okay.
Would you like me to go ahead and introduce it?
Hold on, we're gonna read some stuff in the record, then I'm gonna have you introduce yourself.
This is a letter from Lend Lease, dated September 16th, 2014, to Robin McDonald regarding Walgreens. Dear Director McDonald, on behalf of my client Walgreens, I am pleased to present this project for a proposed photovoltaic
We'll take.
PV array, which we are requesting approval by the Planning Board Commission to be able to submit for building permits. The initial construction of the Walgreens building was approved with a special permit. We feel our project has close to zero impact on the aesthetic look and design of the building. The enclosed supporting material will communicate the nature of the proposed work via photographs, drawings, and a project narrative. A 3-foot high height of the parapet will hide the array of view. The low profile of the solar panel tops out at 1 feet 9 inches. Due to being hidden from view, we hope there will be no need to apply for a special permit. Should you require any further materials or have any questions, please do not hesitate to call Ben Wilson, Project Manager of Lend Lease. Respectfully, Benjamin Wilson.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, my
your
name
name?
is Ben Wilson. I'm a project manager for Lend Lease. We're in charge of the project management and construction of the installation. Walgreens has been engaging in a 2014 rollout, and we're just now getting into Massachusetts. We're very excited to be here. And I just walked over from the site today, and it's a very nice building, and I was just checking out the utility situation there, and like we talked about loading, so I can address all those points. But about the installation itself, it is, again, very, very low profile. It's actually not even as high as what's on those pictures. That was another installation system. This one is actually, I was on site today. It is literally about 15 inches off the ground. The parapets on site are, there's a low section on this side of the building, but everything else is, I think,
How low?
about 32 inches. That one, I think, is 8 inches. So, with that said, this array is actually set back from the edge of the wall. And with that, the sight lines really aren't going to matter. They're going to be, it's going to be so far set back, it won't be visible. And then the rest, from the street, from all sides, it's not going to be visible. The power potential of this system is, I think, 50 kW, and it should offset about half of Walgreens' consumption. Of course, during daylight hours when the sun is shining. And I'm free to answer any questions or concerns.
Right, so we want to put blue panels on. From what I'm hearing, you're really not going to be visible from the ground.
Right.
So aesthetically, it's really not changing any part of the building in any way, shape, or form.
No.
All right.
If I
Certainly.
could, Ben, could you just explain to the board when you're going to be doing putting the materials on the roof, what hours of operation that's going to entail, and how many parking spaces your crane and truck vehicle is going to take up? And the exclusion zone that we spoke about and the fenced-in area, I think that's going to be very important for them to understand.
The exclusion zone is set up during the loading with the crane, and that will take up 4 parking spaces with the crane itself, and another drive aisle for the truck. The truck stays in the drive aisle so it can exit and enter. It's a flatbed truck. It comes on one delivery. They show up at 6 a.m. They're usually out of there by 9. Sometimes it goes till 10, 10:30. We operate very safely. We set up that exclusion zone around the perimeter so that no pedestrians can access or enter, interfere in any way, or be in harm's way. So yeah, that's the only day of lifting, is just
That one day.
that first day, and the rest of the time the guys are on the roof, and then for a few hours they're outside doing the meter installation.
Yeah, I don't think that parking lot's packed. by any means.
Not that time of month either. So
No.
I don't
And
know.
when did you plan on doing this? I'm assuming not around holiday season.
Not around, no, we actually have a Walgreens cutoff of 11/1, so
Okay.
pending permits, which we've submitted, just that review time, and hopefully we can have permit and then be under construction, but definitely before 11/1.
Okay. Ready, Eddie? I'm sorry.
Just a couple more things. Mention the transformer and the AC disconnect switch, where you're going to put that, and the fact that you're not going to have any buildings on the ground.
That's correct.
That's an
So,
important thing for the special permit.
There are a couple of fixtures on the outside of the building. It's just one, actually. I said a couple because in the past we've had meters, but the meter is on the transformer, which is on the ground. I just looked at that, and so the meter's right there. It'll be a new meter installed that has a dual, it measures both ways. It's a net meter. And the only enclosure on the side of the building is about 8-inch by 18-inch AC disconnect that shuts off the power to the breaker.
Which is really not a structure. Or-
Right.
Right, okay.
And that's
Oh,
the
that's
picture
it?
of it right there.
Yep.
Like I was saying, that was the meter, but our meter is actually gonna be on the transformer, which is on the ground. And then the AC disconnect is right here. It's marked with signage for code.
Okay.
And the wiring goes in right behind it into the electrical.
All right, George, start
Yeah,
with you.
Robin, can you, since this special permit was issued before any of us were on the board, can you refresh our memory as to why we had a special permit and what the requirements of it were?
The special permit was because it was a pre-existing non-conforming structure. The bank was set
Right.
too close
Shawmut
to the
Bank.
roadway. Right.
That's what I
uh-huh.
thought. I
And
wanted
that's
to
what
clarify.
caused this to happen.
Okay.
The parking is per square foot, really tight. It's to a max.
Right.
That's why it was so important that I made sure that there was going to be no utility building or anything put on the ground.
I think the key thing in my mind is this does not increase the nonconformity in
No.
any way, and we need to make that clear. So it sounds to me like doesn't affect the special permit.
No, and
in
that's
a
what the board
significant way.
needs to determine, whether or not it's substantial enough to require an amendment to the special permit. If that's the case, then it'll push the project back, but it'll be something that you have to, you know,
Right.
they know that they have to do that. But there's going to be nothing on the ground, no increase in square footage, and no increase in the nonconformity.
Okay.
And not visible, that's one of the big things, is that it's
Right.
not going
Yeah.
to be visible from the ground.
The only question I have for you is, how do you get any efficiency with such a low angle?
That's a great question. Technically speaking, it's at 5 degrees, and it's oriented to the south. That's basically enough for them to make it a good return on their investment.
So at least it's economically feasible, even though it's not at maximum efficiency.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I think also some of it has to do with the wind aspect, and with that, more ballasting would be needed, and then you're running into the structural capability of the roof.
Right, right.
So, with all the constraints, they give it to the max angle that they can.
Right.
Most efficient, and then weight it down so it's wind tested, I think, to like 100 miles an hour.
And the parapet, you should actually have less of a problem with wind, I would think.
Yeah, and I don't know if they factor that in their models, but
Okay, good,
I
thank
know
you.
it can stand on its own,
Yeah.
Ralph?
No, the tilting of the panels, the maximum is 5 degrees.
5 degrees.
So the maximum height of a panel, if I read correctly, is 21 inches.
It's less than that. I chose a very safe estimate because essentially we have a box on the roof that's about 21 inches, and I would say probably less than this table. And that's where we have breakers for the equipment on the roof. So we have actually breakers on the roof and a breaker on the main panel. So that is actually higher than anything on the roof. So I just kind of
Okay.
lumped it all in there. But the panels themselves are real close to the ground.
I mean, after looking at it, like I said, I personally wouldn't think this would need an amendment to the special permit.
Sandra?
Sorry.
That's a great idea.
Ty?
No, I think I'm good. Just as long as it's not visible, I'm fine.
This is no worse than replacing an air conditioner handler or an air
Right.
handler or something like that.
Which are visible.
Yeah,
And I think they're higher, actually,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
are on the
yeah.
roof now.
yeah.
Yeah, so with the picture, it would appear as though any other units on the roof are definitely higher than what these would be.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we determine that a amendment to the special permit is not required.
Second that.
All right, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
We're all set. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Robin, should we give him a letter to that effect in writing?
Oh, yes, oh, yeah, definitely. I'll be sending it to you.
I know we're jumping around here, but how about discuss the Fenway Lane bond taking?
Oh, that's this right here. Did you? It should, yeah, here it is.
To Robin, a letter or memo dated September 22nd to Robin McDonald from Robert Parent, PE, regarding Fenway Lane performance bond. As detailed in our memorandum dated April 28th, 2014, which is attached, there is a number of utility and roadway deficiencies that need to be corrected at the Fenway Lane subdivision. It is my understanding that you forward this memorandum to the project developer when it was received. However, the Department of Public Works has not received a response from the developer since the time, nor have there been any attempts by the developer to correct the deficiencies detailed in the memorandum. The DPW recommends that the planning board move forward with the necessary steps to take the remaining cash bond being forwarded for the project so that the DPW can correct these deficiencies with our own forces should the project be approved for acceptance at the 2015 annual town meeting. The remaining cash bond is expected to cover most of the outstanding expenses for the corrective work. Please let me know if you have any questions.
So the whole idea of the cash bond is to prevent this from happening, and it's happened again. Okay, and has anybody contacted Mr. Richards as far as correcting any of this?
In,
Mr. Gomes?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I meant the developer. I just,
in April- In April of 2014.
and no response.
So what actions do we need to take?
You need to make a determination as to whether or not you want to take that money. That money has to be taken by a vote of the planning board, and then at the annual town meeting, the DPW is going to have to provide the planning board with a letter with regard to the taking of the actual street out of necessity, and once the town takes the street, then they can use this money to correct as many of the faults that are there now.
Is there enough money to fix those faults or no?
No,
Do we have a list of the faults?
yes, we do. Your second sheet, you should have this.
Well, I'll make a motion to take the bond.
Seems like this has happened one too many times.
What's the shortfall from the bond amount to the amount required to correct the problem? Issues?
That I don't know. Do we have a number?
I have an approximate number. Bob Parent really didn't want to put a total number in case it was more than what it is, but I'm saying probably $15,000 short.
Really?
That much?
Well, apparently the roadway is cracking, and the roadway that is only a 4-year-old roadway looks like it's a 15-year-old roadway, which would be the base coat wasn't prepared properly or something. I mean, I'm not familiar with why a roadway would crack, but the small things, most of these issues would be able to be fixed by the $8,900 that we have as a bond.
Yeah, that's what I was just noticing, I didn't see that part.
But Bob had said that he wanted to put help me out, coating on the roadway.
Yeah, probably another, yeah, because I think,
Code or-
What?
if memory serves me correct, we had to do that with Rollins Drive.
Yes, exactly, the same exact.
Birch Avenue had to be done.
Which-
There's a
which
couple
we
other
don't have
roads
the
that
money.
we're gonna be in the same ballpark
Right.
with that I know of.
Which we don't have, the bond doesn't cover that.
As a builder, I put up many large cash deposits, and it frustrates me why we're asking the taxpayers to pay yet again for another road that's failed.
It sounds like we keep releasing money more than we should be releasing.
That's
Be-
exactly what happened.
Before we get into further discussion on that, I believe George made a
She
motion.
made a motion to
Yep.
take the bond.
And I'll second that. And with further discussion, I would.
Yeah, no further discussion.
If-
Yeah,
and
I'm
I
sorry.
would say
You're right, you did.
$8,900 towards the repairs is a necessity that we need to take it. It's been 2 years. I believe it's been, 2 years, Robin, since work has been
A year.
a year. I would say we go forward.
There were other issues too. I mean, in the beginning of 2014, it was understood that the road was being looked at to be taken, and there were a few things to have to be done. That wasn't done, it wasn't taken, and here we are, another year into a roadway that is failing.
So I think we need to take the money, at least it's a step in the right direction. And, I think we've been very careful recently in terms of releasing bond money.
Yes.
Based on DPW's estimates of what it would take to finish things. And we are holding significant amounts now on the projects that are not yet completed. So, we've got to learn from the past and move forward, and moving forward would be to take the bond. And among other things, it demonstrates that we're serious about that, rather than,
Oh, it's a
other people
no-brainer.
will
Yeah,
Just
no,
gotta do
it's
it.
just
hopefully
unfortunate.
Yeah, it's too bad.
walk away from things.
All right, I do have a motion made and seconded. Is there any more discussion?
Yes. It's $8,900?
Approximately, yes.
Can you think, I don't know if Bob has the time to figure out how much all the small stuff's gonna cost, just to get rid of some of those? That's what he was looking at doing with
The 8,900 will cover
then
the small stuff.
Right, and then the bigger stuff, can he go after the builder, or that's not gonna happen?
Not known. All of these small issues should be able to be taken care of by the bond money that we have, other than the
There's a lot of small stuff.
repaving of the actual roadway. That's where the real big money would come in, because the pavement
So
is
the
cracked.
whole road is failing, or just sections of it?
Just basically the cul-de-sac section.
And that's where the water's coming out?
Yes. But since the money was released, and I've spoken with town council, and since the money was released,
We hasn't signed off on it.
specifically the paving, the last.
Same on us.
The last, no, it was an estimate, the figures that were given to the planning board to make the decision in order to release the funds. The paving was basically stated that it was approved. So you would be hard, it would be very difficult to go after the builder
water
after
over the
that.
dam.
Yes, absolutely.
Literally.
Well, I'm also, would be fairly certain that the subdivision itself is probably a separate corporation, and so it's the builder would not be personally responsible.
Yeah, and that's certainly, I don't know that, but you could very well be right.
No, it's
Well, it always goes back.
It's specific, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a motion on the table?
Made and seconded. Any more discussion?
No.
Well,
Not for
All
this.
those, George, you got any?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, let's do, changing lot lines on approved subdivision plans.
I gave you some research on that. Ralph, I think, has read it. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure.
It came up when when the board approved the A&R for Chestnut Street. It was an approved subdivision, and the lot lines were changed. And the subdivision, Chapter 41, allows you to, couple of different avenues to follow, the A&R being one of them. So Ralph had asked me whether or not an amendment to the subdivision should have been filed. So I provided him with the information, and go ahead.
And through reading through the information, there's a couple different ways that they can go about it without actually filing a new plan for a definitive subdivision. One of them was through an A&R. There are other avenues where, if the board agrees and the correct frontage and all is there, lot lines can be changed. My question, like I said, not knowing, was if someone changes a lot line in the definitive plan, do they have to come back and submit a new definitive plan? The answer is no, they don't.
Okay, I would agree with that. I think an A&R would be sufficient to go along with,
Yep.
once we'll have a physical record to go with the file of that particular piece of property. I think that makes sense.
And I agree. I just think that a note has to be made on the actual copy of the subdivision plan that's being held in the office.
I agree.
So that someone that looked at it, would know to look somewhere else.
Okay, or in fact, put an A&R right with that file.
Right,
So it's actually,
Good.
it's there for eternity.
I would say, through reading this, coming up on subdivisions, we should consider looking at, let's say there's a 10-lot subdivision, whether down the road we want to allow someone who maybe has a large lot to divide it. Because it impacts your services, whether the sewer capacity is enough, whether the water capacity. If someone's doing a 20-lot subdivision and 3 of the lots are, let's say, a 280-foot frontage, which would be enough to divide it, you can make a note on the plan that states that this is a definitive subdivision with this number of lots, which would keep anyone from future subdividing their property.
I would disagree with that one.
And like I said, I think what it comes down to is, if you look at it, if they're really close on, let's say, the size of the sewer pipe, and adding 1, 2, 3 more houses may be a negative effect on the town.
Well, typically when subdivisions are done, I think they take some of that into consideration, putting a big enough main in. Not always, but typically.
Typically, they put a road in correctly, and we don't have to look at it.
That's true.
I just think it's something that, when a new plan comes up, that's just something we should consider, think about, look at the plan. Most of the times when we get a plan, it's 140-foot frontage,
Right.
If it's in residence A, and each one, because they're trying to put in as many houses and lots
Sure.
as they can.
So I think for this discussion, we'll probably have to take it on a case-by-case.
Eh,
And, if we
absolutely.
see something that's not going to work, we may raise that concern to the prospective applicant and/or
Yep.
engineer.
Did you want to say anything about the building permits?
Nah.
Yeah, we'll do the end.
No?
All right, so in essence, we're going to stick with the A&Rs as far as good enough as far as subdivision. That will go with the file, stay with the file for eternity. So in essence, we're really not going to take any action other than what we discussed.
Right. mhm,
Right.
Right. And that A&R has been recorded
Okay,
also. so.
everybody's in agreement with that?
Mhm.
All right. Let's do the request for extension of subdivision contracts for Betterly Lane, Dearborn Extension, and Wisteria Lane, and I'm going to recuse myself from
And I have
the
Mr. Metcha signing all of these.
Yeah, because I'm going to recuse myself.
And the reason being for these extensions is 2 of the streets are being petitioned to be accepted at town meeting. Their subdivision contracts are running out. They will be out by the time the town meeting comes. Just to protect the town, we need to reinstate to extend the contracts to make sure that we have developers that are responsible. If not, the town doesn't have any So that's why I'm asking for these, and we're only doing it
What's that, a 2-month extension?
till June, right?
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
so it's-
Because town meeting is in
Yeah.
May for Dearborn, but the other two, they're coming up, but just to make sure that,
Are the developers agreeable to the extensions?
yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. And Mr. Carabetta needs to sign one of them. This is Thomas
Just the
Parker.
extension, but not as a planning board member.
Correct.
Right, okay.
So I've put it all under Sandro's name just to make sure that
Good.
things are clear.
Do we need a
And
motion
that's
or
your
anything like that?
signature, yeah, that's your signature page right there.
Do we need a motion?
Do we need to vote on this?
Yes, you do.
I'll make a motion to extend the 3 contracts as stated to June 30, Beverly Lane to June 30th, 2015, Dearborn Extension to August 16th, 2015, and Wisteria Lane to June 30th, 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Actually, any discussion? All in favor?
Okay, that takes care of that. Last, not last, but close to last.
Close.
Discuss Google Drive and iPads to replace laptops with the board.
Yes. And I apologize, Tide never received a laptop.
I didn't even know we were supposed to get one. I was
thought
out with
IT
Ralph the
had-
other day, and Ralph goes, and I go, what are you talking about?
I thought IT had taken
No.
care of you, and I'm so sorry
worry about
about
it.
that. Yes, you have a choice to either do laptops or iPads. The difference in the iPad is that you will open up what's called Google Drive, and all of your emails that I've sent you, you open that up, and everything will be in there. Yes, I knew you would.
My son will teach me how to use that.
All right, yes.
Actually, I kinda like
So,
that.
they're smaller,
Who's paying for this?
IT,
So
not us.
Not out of our budget.
I don't think we have anything left.
No.
So basically, we're turning in whatever laptops we
You
have for
put it, yeah, you
this.
turn in your laptops. Yeah, IT is really pushing for iPads.
Okay.
All right,
It
so
might be easier for you,
Do we have to make this decision collectively as a board or individually?
collectively as a
Okay.
board.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Do we have, I mean, other than the Google Drive setup, do we know if there's any other internet accessibility, email or anything like that?
That I'm not sure of. I can find that all out if you're all interested in.
Find some 12-year-old kid who hack in, you'd be good to go.
Well, and the reason I ask is, I mean, we all have East Long Meadow
Michael.
emails, and I know.
We
I've
do? I don't know about that
I know
either.
I've personally received a couple from concerned citizens, and if we're going to something that we don't get emails,
No, you would get your email.
Yeah,
I'm just not sure, I don't want to.
okay.
The one thing is important to me on the laptop is having access to the internet, because it enables us to go to mass.gov and look up laws.
You would have internet.
Okay, and, you know, go to Google and get the overhead photography of the parcels we're looking at and all that kind of thing.
That I will have to make sure that is available. I'll have to check.
Well,
with
if we can
Brian.
get to the net.
Everything else is.
If you can get to the net, you
As
can
long
get
as you
to
have a
it.
keyboard, you're good to go.
I think what George is saying, we don't want to take a step backwards.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
And I don't think
I want to
IT
make
would
sure that
make
we're
that
able
happen.
to research issues that we're looking at on the web, that we're able to go to Google Maps and look at the properties that we're discussing on the photography, so we can get a better feel for the neighborhood and what the property, because when we're doing A&Rs, when we're doing non-conformances, you know, the plan is great, but looking at those overheads really brings it into focus.
Sure.
And, you know, as long as we have that accessibility, I'm cool with it.
I'll double check with Ryan.
Yeah.
So you would all prefer
would
to have
agree.
the
I think so.
iPad
I think it's a step in the
compared
future.
to a laptop? I think you probably would find it easier. Ty?
Would that be better?
Yeah,
Since you never had the
Yes,
laptop.
you never had the
I
laptop.
can't believe it, I'm so sorry.
I'm familiar with both pieces of equipment, and I think an iPad would be better.
All right,
Okay.
I will talk
So
to
tell
IT
me.
then and get you all the detailed information.
The other thing is, I would like to know whether or not we can use Word and Excel on it.
Not with an iPad.
Not
The only
with
way
an
you can do
iPad.
it if you buy Office 360, which is a subscription.
Right, and it's
based.
very expensive, I doubt.
So we're gonna have to
It's-
learn-
There's a
It's like $40,
substitute.
$50 a year.
Yeah, but they
There's a
don't talk to
substitute.
each other is the problem.
If you buy the program, it does.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's the only way it does.
I will have to see how Ryan sets up the iPads.
Okay.
I have a personal iPad that I agree with Ty, that I do not have that.
Okay.
I don't have the Office, I don't have.
You have to buy
Microsoft
Office 360, otherwise you can't do it.
Right.
Or
I mean,
you-
there's aftermarket products
Right.
that get you close.
You can use
but
Open
they-
Office on the web.
What's that?
You can use Open Office on the web.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you
I
have to
would
subscribe
have
to
check
it.
that.
I'm sorry?
You have to pay for it, subscribe to it.
I'm not sure.
I would have to see, because he being Ryan, has
Yeah.
done all the teachers.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure
Yeah.
that he's
I'm sure
got a
even
group
either
thing.
Robin can talk to Ryan or any one of us individually could probably
Right,
talk into it, have him
absolutely. So if you have
answer.
any questions,
Yeah.
feel free to give Ryan a call.
Okay.
If I haven't covered all the questions.
George, your
that you have.
questions are definitely if there's a con in the flying ointment, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when we get the agendas from Robin, they're in Word.
Absolutely.
If they're PDF, it wouldn't be an issue.
Right, but if they're in Word, I can't read them on an iPad, that's an issue.
Yeah, no,
So
And I
that's-
don't want to create more work for my office
Yeah,
either.
yeah,
Sure.
but Donna can very easily send them as a PDF file,
Absolutely, which she does when she scans
which means an
them.
iPad would be fine for
Well,
that.
but not for the minutes, because you want to mark up the minutes.
But then you gotta print them out, mark them up by hand. Yeah, that's a hassle.
Okay.
Okay,
Been there, done that.
Just
Yes.
bringing up issues, that's all.
All right.
all right. I don't see anything else on our list or anything that you.
What
gentlemen-
about the street taking issue?
That we're taking off.
We took
Taking
that
off.
off
Okay.
before the meeting.
Good.
Anything anybody want to add before we adjourn?
I would love to.
How did I know?
Jeez, I missed you guys over the last 4 weeks.
I'd just like to say, I've been down Betterly Lane. We had a discussion with regards to the detention basin at the end of it. It had been holding water, and I know the developer has been working on it. They've changed the pipe size, they've lowered it through the engineer, and when I just went through, they have actually cleared it. There's no water in it. They've cut down all the vegetation that was there, and they're getting it ready for seeding and all. Looks a lot better than what it did.
Great.
I'm truly happy to see, something like this going forwards, that we saw a problem, we addressed it, and it's being taken care of properly. Wisteria Lane, I did notice that the berm has been put in along Summers Road.
Oh, wonderful.
And I happened to drive by in the torrential rain, and I noticed all the water going right down Summers Road. I'm hoping that's going to alleviate a lot of the problems that the neighbor had.
And I'd just like to add, I did distribute via email an article from the Wall Street Journal that was
Oh,
yesterday.
today.
Regarding the new industry of people renting out individual homes in their, individual rooms in their houses by the night, using web-based services. And I noticed that there is one house in Longmeadow that is listed for that, and I've asked my contact in Longmeadow how they're handling it, and I haven't heard back from him yet. There's a lot in Springfield. There's nothing listed in East Longmeadow yet, and I'm a little concerned that our zoning bylaw could be ambivalent about this. And I think it's something that, please read the article, and then we can discuss it. I don't want to discuss it in email, because that would be wrong, but I think we ought to discuss it when people have had a chance to digest it and think about it.
Interesting.
There's a service called Airbnb, where you basically list your house and you say, I've got spare room over the garage, you can have it for $50 a night. And, in New York City, it's really big, because where you're paying $300 a night for a hotel room, and somebody offers you a room in their apartment for $100, it works well. And in New York, if there are strange people wandering around your apartment building, nobody notices. In East Longmeadow, if you have strange cars in your driveway every other night,
Yeah.
people notice. So I think it's something that we ought to make sure we're covered on, and decide how we as a town want to address it. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad, But I think it's something that we should walk into with our eyes open rather than just let it happen and then not be able to deal with it
Maybe
afterwards.
Proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah.
I like that.
I've
Okay.
got one other item.
And I have some mail to read.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The planning board received a thank you note in the mail, and I'm going to read it tonight. And this,
He doesn't even recognize.
he doesn't even know where it came
No,
from.
he doesn't. He doesn't
He's
have
looking
a
at me
clue.
like what? It's to Mike, Robin, Ralph, Ty, George. Thanks so much for the gift card to CSG, Lisa and Sandro Mecca.
Very good.
Thank you, Sandro.
Thank you.
And this one is to everybody,
Oh.
but because my name was on the check, so.
Okay, dear Robin D. McDonald, in this time of war, few things are more vital than reaching out to America's wounded service members as you did with your generous gift of $120 in memory of Sean Dugan. For these troops, many of them young adults, very patriotic, kindness means a hand up as they begin new lives after severe injuries and trauma. As a partner in the Wounded Warriors Project mission to honor and empower wounded warriors, you help these men and women move back into the mainstream great American life as they protected for you and me. As soon as wounded heroes leave the war zone and arrive at a hospital, you're at their bedside, hand in hand with the Wounded Warrior Project. Through a broad spectrum of WWP programs, you stay with the wounded throughout the recovery. Many people use the phrase, support the troops, but you put these words into action by helping combat injured veterans as they work to build new lives. Imagine a warrior who sacrificed limbs or sight in Iraq or Afghanistan, now skiing down the side of a mountain, starting college, helping a fellow warrior, or beginning a new job. These images come to mind when I reflect on the power of your recent gift to WWP. I offer my gratitude to you today. You have my deepest appreciation. Salute your generosity, Adam Sylvia, Chief Development Officer, Wounded Warrior Project.
And that was from the check that you all contributed to for Mr. Gorman's grandson. So I wanted to make sure that you knew that you did receive
Okay.
acknowledgement for that.
It's too bad it had to be
I know.
such a tragic.
Did any of you read the minutes? I know Donna was late in getting them out, but,
I did, and I will have a couple corrections.
oh, all right, then we won't.
All right, do we have anything else, Ralph?
One other
Sir.
item, and I'm not sure if the chairman will need to recuse himself. It's,
Accuse or resign?
I just want to discuss, we have a matter in front of the ZBA,
recuse myself.
and I was wondering.
Yes. And the reason being that you're on the zoning board of appeals, to prevent a conflict of interest.
My question to the board would be, now that the property, the A&R has been done, it's been filed, I believe, and that the rear yard setback now meets the criteria, which was the board's objective to begin with, does the board think we should continue to go through with an appeal through the ZBA?
Yeah, My question to you, I know that you prepared the presentation to the ZBA. Do you think we have a good case?
I think we had a case, like I said, for the rear lot line. I think we had a case for the building inspector, I believe under what we just received with the Mass General Law, that the building inspector shouldn't have issued a permit on a definitive plan, especially after we had contacted them. But the fact being is that what we're looking at ultimately is to make sure that the house setback was correct. It is now. And my question is, do we go forwards with this? And if we do, is it simply to say the building inspector was wrong? in the issuance? Or was our goal to make sure that we had the correct zoning?
Well, our goal was to make two things, I think. First of all, was to make sure we had the correct zoning. And secondly, it was to get clarification on the definition of the rear lot line. Because the determination by the building inspector was that that was a side lot line, not a rear lot line. And you're right, that the issue is moot now because, in fact, the building meets zoning setbacks. So, this may not be the right place to ask for that clarification. It may be better to wait and see if we have another issue where we need clarification. Since it's a moot issue, anytime you go on appeal, you're opening yourself up to a capricious decision. So.
Any other?
I think the problem's been rectified. I say we drop it.
You know, it's a double-edged sword, and I don't like it. Yeah, the problem's been rectified. At the end of the day, what's going to change because the problem has been rectified. But going back to this whole situation prior to that, it's like, I mean, something was done that wasn't right in the first place. It was rectified, so I don't know where it goes from here. But I think I'd like to go forward and just ask the Zoning Board of Appeals, listen, here's the issue, it has been rectified. Let's say going forward on this type of situation, what's your position on this case, and what's your position going forward on something like this? I mean, at the end of the day, the issue is that a building permit should not have been issued, particularly after the building inspector was put on notice. He did it the next day afterwards anyways, which, you know, didn't make a lot of sense. And I'd like to just hear what they have to say about it. But at the end of the day, I don't think anything's going to change.
That's why I say we should just forget about it.
I don't like it.
I don't want our board to look like the rest of the boards. Period. I'll say it on the camera.
Do you want to make a motion to withdraw?
I'll make the motion to withdraw.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to oppose it.
All opposed?
All opposed?
3-1.
3-1.
Withdraw it.
Can I take the card?
No.
Final last time, anybody have anything they want to add before we adjourn?
Went by the church, St. Paul's on Glade Road. The shrubs are up.
Good. Terrific.
Awesome.
Any more complaints from the neighbors?
No, I think Sandra spoke with
I
a
spoke to
couple
one of them.
neighbors.
Okay.
They put them in themselves. They seem to be okay. Watering, I'm not really sure, but I think they are watering.
Okay.
So,
And they are the correct plants.
yes.
Okay.
And there's,
They will grow quick then.
yeah, 37, 38, something like that. I forgot the exact count.
That's awesome.
Okay.
And they're big.
Anything you want to add before we
Okay.
adjourn, Mr. Richards?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're all set. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.